राधा जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna. So I'd like to welcome all of you for discussing on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, chapter entitled The History of the Life of Ajamil. And we are discussing today on the verse text 16. That's 6:1-16. Yeah. Na tata hi aghavan rajan puye tatap adibhi yatha krishnarpita pranas तत्पुरुष निषेवया न तथा हि अघवान् राजन् पूयेत तप आदिभिः यथा कृष्णार्पित प्राण तत्पुरुष निषेवया न तथा हि अगवान् राजन् पूयेत तप आदिभिः यथा कृष्णार्पित प्राण तत्पुरुष निषेवया Any more? Vaishnavis? No, not. Tatha, so much. He, certainly. Aghavan, a man full of sinful activities. Rajan, O king. Puyeta, can become purified. Tapah adibihi, by executing the principles of austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and other purifying processes. Yatha, as much as Krishna arpita pranaha, the devotee whose life is fully Krishna conscious. Tat purusha nishevaya, by engaging his life in the service of Krishna's representative. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear king, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and the other methods of atonement I have previously described. Purport. Tat Purusha refers to a preacher of Krishna consciousness, such as the spiritual master. Shri Narottam Das Thakur has said, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Paiche Keba. Without serving a bona fide spiritual master, an ideal Vaishnava, who can be delivered from the clutches of Maya? This idea is also expressed in many other places. Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, 2nd verse says, Mahat Sevam Dwaramahur Vimuktehe. If one desires liberation from the clutches of Maya, one must associate with a pure devotee Mahatma. A Mahatma is one who engages 24 hours daily in the loving service of the Lord. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahatma anastumam partha daivim prakritimashtritaha bhajanti ananya manaso nyatva bhutadim avyayam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Thus, the symptoms of a Mahatma is that he has no engagement other than service to Krishna. One must render service to a Vaishnava in order to get freed from sinful reactions, revive one's original Krishna consciousness, and be trained in how to love Krishna. This is the result of Mahatma Seva. Of course, if one engages in the service of a pure devotee, the reactions of one's sinful life are vanquished automatically. Devotional service is necessary not to drive away an insignificant stock of sins, but to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. As fog is vanquished at the first glimpse of sunlight, one's sinful reactions are automatically vanquished as soon as one begins serving a pure devotee. No separate endeavor is required. The word Krishna Arpita Pranaha refers to a devotee who dedicates his life to serving Krishna, not to being saved from the path to hellish life. A devotee is Narayana Parayana or Vasudeva Parayana, which means that the path of Vasudeva or the devotional path is his life and soul. Narayana Paraha Sarve Na Kutaschana Bibhyati. Bhagavatam 6.17.28. Such a devotee is not afraid of going anywhere. There is a path toward liberation in the higher planetary systems and a path toward the hellish planets. But a Narayanapara devotee is unafraid wherever he is sent. He simply wants to remember Krishna wherever he may be. Such a devotee is unconcerned with hell and heaven. He is simply attached to rendering service to Krishna. When a devotee is put into hellish conditions, he accepts them as Krishna's mercy. Tattenu kampam susamikshamaanaha. Bhagavatam 10:14-8. He does not protest. Oh, I am such a great devotee of Krishna. Why have I been put into this misery? Instead, he thinks, this is Krishna's mercy. Such an attitude is possible for a devotee who engages in the service of Krishna's representative. This is the secret of success. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavahamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणम्. हरे कृष्ण. Thank you for allowing me to be in this August assembly. I'm grateful for giving this chance to serve all of you by sharing Srimad Bhagavatam, some thoughts on it, whatever we have heard in Parampara from Srila Prabhupada. So this series of verses which is going on, very beautiful series, a very compassionate Parikshit Maharaj has asked a question. How would these inhabitants, not inhabitants actually, those who are caught up in the hellish planet, they're not inhabitants, they're not supposed to be there. How will they ever get delivered? How will they ever get delivered from the sinful reactions that they have, that they are carrying? So many processes, Praishchitta was discussed, Tapasa, Brahmacharya was discussed, so Karma, Jnana was discussed. But then Shukdev Goswami, he's testing his disciple Parikshit. So last verse was Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Parayanaha Agham Dhunvanti Kachnena Niharam Iva Bhaskaraha. So Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya, when the Kevala Bhakti is there, then not only the past sinful reactions, past proclivity for sinful actions, the very desire to commit sin will go away. That is the power of bhakti. Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya, that Kevala Bhakti. So today's verse is discussing this Kevala Bhakti, some more glorification of it. So fortunately Srila Prabhupada has given 4 lectures on this verse. Very nice points Srila Prabhupada brings out from there. And Srila Vishwanath Thakur, for the translation of this verse, he says it in a one way and Srila Prabhupada takes it to another level. Right? So 16th verse, na tatha hi aghavan rajan. Srila Prabhupada, in one of the lectures, he says, there is aghavan and there is bhagavan, Prabhupada says. Van means possessor, bhagavan. Prabhupada says bhagavan means what? One who is possessor of the 6 opulences, all the opulences, that is bhagavan. And Prabhupada says there is another guy which is aghavan. Agha means sin. Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Shri Sai Gauru Chandra Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Prabhupada says agha means sin, one who is a possessor of sin, one who owns a lot of sin, one who is sinful. Aghavan, Bhagavat, Aghavat, Prabhupada says. So Prabhupada says from aghavan we have to go to the stage of Bhagavan, Prabhupada says. So now Bhagavan banne ko bol rahe kya? So Prabhupada clarifies it. Even great personalities like Narada, Shiva, Brahma, sometimes they also are referred as Bhagavan. Very powerful personalities. Right? As good as Krishna. Krishna awards them that position. Prabhupada says Aghavan is a very lowly position and Bhagavan is the highest position. We have to cover this journey. Now when you have to cover this journey, what process to follow? To go from Aghavan to Bhagavan. Praishchitta will help? Jnana will help? No. Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya. This Kevala Bhakti will help. Undeviated, unmotivated devotional service to Krishna. That Kevala Bhakti can only save us. So Srila Prabhupada, he says, Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandvan moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhavrataha. This dridhta wali bhakti, this dridha bhakti, that is also very rare. It is also not easy. Right? So, Srila Vishwanath Thakur, he says, O king, a sinful person cannot become purified by austerities and other processes to the extent that the devotees who offer their lives to Krishna become purified by the service of the Lord. So devotional service is itself purifying, right? Because you are surrendering to the all pure Krishna, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Arjuna says. Krishna is all pure. Prabhupada says just as gold is pure, but it is covered with lot of dust and ore and other things. If that is removed, the pure gold once again shines. So devotional service is that process. Kevala Bhakti is that process. So Vishnacharya Thakur, his translation stops at a point where he says Bhakti to Krishna. But you find here Krishna Arpita Prana. Okay, we'll discuss something on this for some time. Now one will say this Kevala Bhakti is also very difficult to attain, right? What Kunti Maharani is saying, let calamities come again and again and again, but we only want to remember you. This Narayana Para Bhakti, that is also very rare. But actually you see, whenever we see this verse or we read this verse, we feel, oh, Kunti Maharani is such a great devotee. But actually you'll find in material life, we see this verse in action. But all of us also have gone through it. When we wanted to, get admission to some institute, we also said, Aane do kitna calamities aana hai. Let calamities come again. I will not mind all those troubles, but I will take admission to that college. Like in Mumbai, if you are living in Mumbai and you are taking a local train, I remember I would be in Mumbai in 2000, 2001 when I was working. And that time, the statistics was that 3 to 4 people die every day in the local train. Every day 3 to 4 people, that was 2001 statistics. And especially if you go on the central line, there is a station called Mumra. And before that station comes, there is something called Killer Tunnel. So many people will be hanging outside the local train because they will not get a seat inside and they will not be careful and they will die. Their head hits the wall of the tunnel and there are paintings made there, a little kind of painting, right? Marks where people have died like that. Now, what is the statistics? Last statistics that was there was 8 to 9 people die every day average. Are they not doing what Kunti Maharani is saying? Let those calamities come again and again. We don't mind those. In material life, we do it, right? Now they are constructing metro in Mumbai, and the metro, the agreement that is signed with the government, you won't believe the agreement says 30 people will die average every month in the construction. It is agreed. The company will not be sued. They will not be taken to the court if 30 people die. उससे ज़्यादा मरे तो गड़बड़ है, वरना 30 मर गए तो चलेगा. What is Kunti Maharani saying? I don't mind calamities. Let them come again and again. In material life, if we look at this, yes, we also have done it. Let the calamities come. Why were we ready to pay the price there? We were ready to pay the price for the sake of family, right? Some relationship, some rasa we have tasted there. Or we are expecting something when we take admission to some college and I'll achieve something, and we were ready to undergo any trouble for it. What happens in devotional service? We have yet not experienced, that relationship with Krishna, that rasa with Krishna. Otherwise, a devotee who is a Kevala Bhakta, who is engaged in Kevala Bhakti, Srila Prabhupada is saying that devotee can go in any part of the world. That devotee can go even to hellish planets if Krishna sends him. I don't care. I will not spare a moment for any other process. I don't care about my sinful reactions also. I will not spare even a moment away from devotional service to the Lord. Coming out of, this mesh of sinful reactions, I don't care. I don't worry for it. I am more worried that I should be engaged in the devotional service, 100% devotional service of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada says. Right? So this verse, Srila Vishnacharya Thakur says, as much to the extent devotional service to Krishna can purify, Puyeta, Aghavan is there, but Puyeta will happen, perfect Puyeta, perfect purification will happen by devotional service to God. Which kind of devotional service? Krishna Arpita Prana, the very life offered to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says, Pranir Arthir Dhiya Vacha Shreya Acharanam Sada. One can serve Krishna by Prana, Artha, Dhiya Vacha. This offering of Prana, life to Krishna. one's entire life is for Krishna. This kind of devotee, complete puyeta. Now Srila Prabhupada, I have less time with me. Srila Prabhupada says, takes one more meaning to it. When Prabhupada says, so yatha Krishna arpita pranas tat purusha, that devotee, tat purusha, who has offered his prana to Krishna, if you serve such a devotee, then what will happen? Then puyeta. Srila Prabhupada takes it like that. Right? So this dedication of life to Krishna's service, how is it made possible? Tat purusha nishevaya. By serving a great soul, by serving a Mahatma, by serving a devotee. Prabhupada says the preacher devotee. Prabhupada says that spiritual master who is engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada says. So, Rupa Goswami in his Nectar of Devotion, he says, Adau Guru Padashraya. First of all, spiritual life means, spiritual practice means, Srila Prabhupada says, you surrender. Guru Padashraya. You take shelter of the spiritual master. Then what do? Saddharma Pucha. Inquire from such a devotee. Inquire from spiritual master. And then Sadhu Marga Anugaman, Prabhupada says. Then follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. Okay. So this verse highlights service to a Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada says, when you serve a Vaishnava, so service to Krishna means service to a Vaishnava, and service to a Vaishnava will cause complete purification. Shushrusho Shraddhadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchihi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Purna Tirtha Nishevanat. Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. Prabhupada is quoting Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes. The door to liberation will get opened by serving the great souls. You find Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Paiche Keva. Has anybody ever got delivered without surrendering to a Vaishnava? Nistara Paiche? No, nobody has got deliverance without Vaishnava Seva. Gangara Parasha Hoite, Paschatya Pavan, Sparsha Hoite. When somebody will touch Ganga, then one will get purified. Darshane Pavitra Kuru, Yai Tumara Gun. When just by giving darshan, Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado. We get mercy of Krishna by serving a devotee of Krishna, by serving spiritual master. So in the first canto of Bhagavatam, we find the example of Narada boy, right? Apparently not so good birth, right? Living in a destitute condition. But the four Bhaktivedantas who came to the village, what happened? The mother was serving and the boy was also engaged in the service of these Bhaktivedantas. And what happened? Narada says, I was serving them, I was around them, I got to eat their maha. And what happened? He says, I developed sense control, I gave up proclivity for childish play, right? And desire for bhakti arose in my heart, and I developed eagerness for Krishna Katha. All this happened by what? By serving the Bhakti Vedantas, by taking their maha. That's why Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he says, when you are serving a devotee, a great devotee, three things are very powerful. Right? What are three things powerful in a devotee? He says, Bhakta Pada Dhuliyar, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh Yai Tina Mahabal. Serving a devotee, what should we desire? Oh, these three things I should achieve. Bhakta Pada Dhuli, the dust of the lotus feet of that great devotee. Bhakta Pada Dhuliyar, Bhakta Pada Jal, the water that has washed the lotus feet of that devotee. Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh Yai Tina Mahabal, and the remnants of what the devotee has eaten, Tina Mahabal, great source of power there. Right? So, Bhaktapada Dhuli, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he went to the village where Ishvara Puri would live. And there he collected the dust from where the house of Ishvara Puri, and he always would keep it with him and take a little. Why? Bhaktapada Dhuli. Bhaktapada Jal. We have the famous pastime of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur when he gave that presentation on Brahmana and Vaishnava, and the whole assembly was in rapture. Wow, what an understanding is this. And there was a stampede for taking the dust from the lotus feet of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Then the local police had to be called. And what was the solution that the police found? They took Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur to another room, brought a bucket full of water, made him put his feet into that bucket, and that Bhakta Pada Jal was offered to the crowd, and then the crowd became pacified. Right? Bhakta Pada Dhuli or Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh. We have the pastime where Ramanujacharya one time when he had prasadam, he had to wash hands. He just put his hand into one small pond. His remnants fell into the water, and those remnants were eaten by the fishes. And right there, the fishes got 400 form and got liberated, went back to Vaikuntha. Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh Yahi Tina Mahabal. But what happens generally when we come in contact with great devotees, pure devotees, the way Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, we generally take it very lightly. It happened one time with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur only. You know, Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur would honor his prasadam, and then every day the remnants would come out. And then the disciples who are honoring every day. What happened? Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur came to know that now only sweet is taken out of that plate. Rest, other items nobody wants. So Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur from that day onwards, he told his servant, get me salt. So the salt, before he begins his eating, salt was given. And he would spread salt in the entire plate. And he would eat, he would send that plate. Now honor it. Sometimes the guru may have to do something like that to teach the disciple. Don't take it lightly. Don't think only the sweet part is sweet. Right? Only the sweet part has mercy. Bhakta Pada Dhuli or Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesh Tina Mahabal. So what should we do in the association or while serving Tat Purusha Sevaya, in that service to the great soul, where Aghavan will become, Bhagavan, to that level Prabhupada is saying, right? What should be done? One philosopher says, where is, realization? Where is knowledge? All that we have today is information only. A lot of information is there. Where is knowledge? Where is realization? So what happens? What should we do? Prabhupada in his lecture says, with that pure devotee, Krishna is hinting, you are supposed to be tadviddi pranipatena. First thing that you do is you do pranipat, surrender. Next is pariprashna. And the third thing is sevaya. You serve. What will happen when you surrender? You will get information. A good amount of information you can collect. You have heard information and you may get some question. Then paraprashna should happen. And when you ask, like Arjuna asked questions and something more got revealed, that is knowledge. Right? So paraprashna will give you knowledge. And the equation doesn't end there. It ends with when you serve, that sevaya will bring realization. Right? Pariprashna, surrender, inquiry, genuine inquiry, and then service, humble service. One time few professors came from Calcutta University to the Gaudiya Mutt, and they had certain questions to ask of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur told them, come on, let's go to the temple garden. We will go to the garden and there you can ask questions. So these professors walked behind Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur and they reached the garden, and there was a gardener who was working there. And Bhaksan Thakur called him, come here. They have some questions to ask, you answer. And these professors are looking at Bhaksan, or what's going on here? We wanted to ask questions to you. No, you ask him. And they asked questions. And this gardener gave perfect scriptural answers. And the last of the questions that these professors asked was, how do you have this knowledge? And this gardener answered that I every day sit in the Bhagavatam class. Right? I hear from Gurudev, and Gurudev has asked me, go and serve in the garden. I just do this much. I don't know anything else. And that's how I could answer. Pranipat, Pariprashna, and Sevaya. Right? All the imports of the Vedic scriptures are revealed to such a person. Right? So, okay. So, now I want to do Pranipat, Pariprashna, Sevaya. Are there any qualities that I need? Because I want to become Puyeta. I want to get purified. I have to approach this great devotee of the Lord who is Narayana Parayana. What will it take me? Right? So when the first time Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go to South India, Brahmana, travel, he wanted to go. He didn't want to take anybody along. He wanted to avoid. Ultimately he said, Nutan ek shishya, एक नया डिवोटी दो जिसका मन थोड़ा स्थिर है. बोला नया डिवोटी का मन कैसे स्थिर होता है पता नहीं. Somehow they found one person, Kala Krishnadas. And Kala Krishnadas surely gave a bad time. Half of the yatra went very nice. After half of the yatra, Kala Krishnadas, Bhattathari, those people, they took him away, and Mahaprabhu had to take the effort, Chuli Dhari Aane, brought him all the way to Jagannath Puri, gave him to devotees and said, isko rakho, iska chehra mujhko dikhane ka nahi dekhne ka mere ko iska chehra. Next time Lord Chaitanya said, now I want to go to Vrindavan. And again, who will go with Mahaprabhu? Somebody has to go. And Mahaprabhu didn't want anybody. Right? Ultimately, Sarup Damodar Goswami, he brings one more person, Balabhadra Bhattacharya. And he says, he can go with you. So I'm taking this example to serve a great soul. Right? Tat Purusha, what will it take? Sarup Damodar Goswami says, this Balabhadra Bhattacharya has 4 qualities. Because of this, the first one created trouble for you. The second one has these 4 qualities. Because of that, you should take him. Which are those? Swarup kahe ei Balbhadra Bhattacharya, tomate susnigdha bada pandit sadhu arya. He says 4 things. Susnigdha bada. Then he says pandita. Then he says sadhu. And he says arya. What are these 4 qualities? Susnigdha, he is very snigdha. He has Bruya snigdhasya shishyasya. We hear Suta Goswami is also glorified like that. So he has great affection for you. Unless we have great affection for the person whom we are serving, it won't last for long. Right? Prabhupada at one place says, very soon the disciple will start saying, he also wears gamcha, I also wear gamcha. He also eats same prasad, I also eat same. Few years before he has come, what big deal? Very soon the disciple or the follower will start offending the spiritual master also because of proximity, physical proximity. Susnigdha, he says great affection. Second, he says he's pandit. He understands scriptures. And for pandita, especially Prabhupada says, he's mature. He's mature in his dealings. What is maturity? Sukruti plus viveka plus krupa is equal to maturity. When one has passed sukruti, one is carrying, one has viveka through scriptures, and one has also collected lot of mercy. Then actual maturity is visible in a person, pandita. The third is his sadhu. Prabhupada translates integrity there. Prabhupada says, he's well behaved and he's sense controlled, Prabhupada says. Sadhu. And the last thing, 4th quality, that a genuine follower who wants to become Puyeta, purified in connection with a pure devotee, the 4th quality in Balbhadra Bhattacharya is he's Arya. His interactions, he's perfect in dealings, he's perfect in interactions. And Prabhupada especially says there, he sees to it that the master will not get a bad name. That is Arya. No matter what happens, my spiritual master should not get a bad name because of me. That is Arya. And when one serves the spiritual master like that, with these qualities, then Puyeta. Giriraj Maharaj especially remembers Srila Prabhupada. When his parents had come to meet Prabhupada, their parting comment about Prabhupada was, oh, he's a great organizer, first thing. And Giriraj Maharaj's parents said, Prabhupada, he knows how to deal with people. These were the two things Giriraj Maharaj says they remembered about my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. Right? And what does spiritual master award to such a disciple? Right? 4S that the disciple will be awarded who has 4 qualities like Balabhadra Bhattacharya. The first is satisfaction. Right? The second is stability in spiritual life. The disciple will experience stability. The third is one will surpass the 3 modes. And 7th canto, 15th chapter, 25th verse, Narad Muni says this. Rajastamascha sattvena sattvam cha upashamena cha etat sarvam gurau bhaktya purusho hi anjasa jayet. By serving the spiritual master, one will rise beyond, surpass the 3 modes. And the 4th is one will achieve supreme peace. Ye prasade pure sarva asha. By serving the spiritual master. Divya jnana hriday prakashito. Right? So, some examples from scriptures before we end for today. One is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was at Srirangam, he saw this Brahmana trying to read Bhagavad Gita, study Bhagavad Gita, when he did not even know Sanskrit properly. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him, he said, I don't understand. My spiritual master asked me to read every day. Everyone laughs at me at my attempts to read. Everyone around me laughs, but I don't care. My guru instructed me, I just follow. Very good. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, very good. But why are you crying? He says, whenever I open Bhagavad Gita, the picture of Krishna driving the chariot for Arjuna comes in front of my eyes. And I'm overwhelmed thinking how much Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. Right? Actually, Bhakta Vatsala, Vatsa means a calf. And what happens, sometimes the cow will give birth to the calf in the forest somewhere. And what does the cowherdsman do? He will carry the calf and start walking. And even when the cow is in pain, so much pain, she will still start walking because my Vatsa. That's why Krishna is also called Bhakta Vatsala. Right? Krishna's devotees are like Vatsa for him. And Krishna cares for his devotees. Right? So when the South Indian Brahmana, he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when that picture comes in front of my eyes, how Krishna is so Bhakta Vatsal, I get tears in my eyes. And Lord Chaitanya certified, your study of Bhagavad Gita has achieved perfection. This is the right attitude. This is the right mood. How did that happen? By the mercy of spiritual master. Another of the story that I could have discussed today, the pastime, is Ramanujacharya dealing with Dasharathi. First, he was sent to Goshti Purna's house. Then he was sent with Atulai to Mahapurna, Atulai's house, and he was only fetching water and washing utensils. And then when he was identified by everyone in the village, he came back, and Ramacharya then said, now I will teach you the meaning of Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Dashrathi was another example. And who else can fit every verse in Srimad Bhagavatam apart from our dear Srila Prabhupada? Every verse fits. He fits everywhere as a pure devotee. So Srila Prabhupada, right, in 1936, he gave a speech at Gaudiya Math. And what does he say in that speech? I will read for you. So he talks about what is a proper attitude of a devotee in one of the 1936 speech. In year 1936, the speech he gave at Gaudiya Math. Prabhupada said in that speech, personally, I have no hope for any direct service for the coming crores of births of the sojourn of my life. But I am confident that someday or other I shall be delivered from this mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me with all earnestness pray at the lotus feet of my divine master to allow me to suffer the lot for which I am destined due to my past misdoings, but to let me have this power of recollection that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty Absolute Godhead, realized to the unflinching mercy of my divine master. Let me therefore bow down at his lotus feet with all the humility at my command. And Prabhupada quotes this verse, Yatha Krishna arpita pranas tat purusha nishevaya. Right? So, Srila Prabhupada, especially the last part of the purport, you find Srila Prabhupada says, such a devotee can go anywhere and experience the presence of the Lord. That pure, tat purusha, that pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada did it. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, so this devotee is completely convinced, yes, Krishna is the Almighty Lord. He is my heart-to-heart friend. And everywhere Krishna is present. So Srila Prabhupada's conviction was, yes, I am in Vrindavan, Krishna is in Vrindavan. That same Krishna is in my heart. And the same Krishna is in America also. He is providing me here, he will provide me there also. I will not beg, I will not cry. I will continue serving Krishna, right? And Krishna, sure enough, Prabhupada says, I didn't carry anything with me. I didn't even have a home for myself. And today, crores of rupees Krishna has given. So many beautiful temples Krishna has given. Why? Tat Purusha, this Krishna arpita prana devotee. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have one example where Krishna from Vrindavan went to Odisha as Sakshi Gopal. And for Srila Prabhupada's sake, thousands of Krishna went to all around the world, to all the temples to give Sakshi. Whatever Prabhupada is saying is perfect. So when Prabhupada was on the Jaladut and he reached the Boston harbor, when he had written that Markine Bhagavad Dharma, Prabhupada says, I have no power. What can I speak? But Krishna, you are sitting in their heart. You can give them that, give power to my speech, and you are sitting in their heart to convince them. Krishna went as Sakshi for Srila Prabhupada. And such as Srila Prabhupada's instructions when we serve, from Puyeta, from Aghavan, will become Puyeta and will also become purified. Thank you. Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So one thing that I could have just, if I can get 1 minute, devotees may feel, Prabhuji, Krishna is very far, pure devotee is very far. Whom do I associate with? Hamare liye kya hai? So generally, so I had heard in one lecture, very beautiful presentation where they were saying, we should take the Vani association of the pure devotee and Vapu association of equal devotees. Right? And Srila Sachinandan Swami Maharaj says, what, 100 Kanishtas, 50, 10 Kanishtas staying together and following the Vani association of the spiritual master, they all can help each other rise to Madhyama and then Uttama level. One should not think, oh, Krishna is not there with me. The pure devotee is not available. What do I do? The Vani association is available. And the Vapu association of devotees. Prabhupada says we should serve the spiritual master staying in association of devotees. And in the lecture, Prabhupada says, that's why I have made ISKCON. Stay within ISKCON, Prabhupada says, associate with devotees. Do not give up this association. And very soon you will experience Puyet. Thank you very much. Any questions are there? You can come separately and ask the question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Sure. Already 9 ho gaya. Okay, one question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for this wonderful explanation. One thing that you were mentioning that for Pranipat Pariprashna Seva, before that, you were telling that a disciple should have four qualities when you compared with Balbhadra Bhattacharya. So, whenever we see that there are qualities which are mentioned, so what should a practicing devotee do when he sees that there are qualities mentioned? Should he strive separately for the qualities, or should he just focus on his devotional service and naturally those qualities would come?
Srila Prabhupada says in one of the lectures, out of the 4 lectures, Prabhupada says, when one engages sincerely in devotional service, all these qualities are awarded by Krishna. So if somebody is an army, army man, they are seen with lot of colorful bands here and here and here and here. You can go and buy that in the market. Nobody will accept it. How do they get it? When you do satisfactory work, the government will award you. Army or the military establishment will award you. Take this. Prabhupada says similarly, I'm just saying, similarly what happens when we engage in sincere devotional service, then Krishna awards these qualities. We don't have to separately work on each of them. We can be cautious that I'm around those qualities, but those qualities will become your qualities by when Krishna awards it. But that happens when we engage in sincere devotional service. We don't need to separately join courses. Humility का एक course, compassion का एक अलग course, and tapasya का एक brahmacharya का अलग course. Devotional service itself contains everything in it.
One clarification in this that when we see that sometimes we struggle, like suppose humility, we are struggling with humility, like so at that time there is a tendency that
you may not be humble, but don't be offensive. These are two different things. You may not be humble in your dealings. You could be little straightforward, but don't be offensive too. That is a different thing itself. Right? You can go on scale of humility as far as possible. You can go. I may not be there, but why should I be offensive to anybody? I will not be on the negative scale, right? I could not be on the very high on the positive scale, but at least I should not be at the negative. At least this is not good. At least don't do that thing.
But many times we see that there are lectures based on qualities of humility. So we hear those qualities.
That recollection is good again and again. These are good qualities to have. But ultimately, sincere devotional service under the guidance of spiritual master in association of devotees, wait, in time Krishna will award. Everything will happen. Gaurakshadas Babaji Maharaj says, just because a woman wants to have a baby, if she puts a cushion here and loudly shouts, you're not going to get the baby. There's a science behind it. Right? Everything else will happen. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.